Hello everyone, Tawana Michelle here. Welcome to my channel and welcome back if you have been here before. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about codependency, some of the traits or characteristics of codependency. And I think this is a very important topic because codependency can lead one to a pattern of very destructive and abusive and unhealthy relationships. I make a lot of videos on my channel about narcissists, narcissistic abuse, relationships with narcissists, and codependents typically are drawn to narcissists, and the narcissist is typically drawn to the codependent. And it's because the codependent is typically like a giver, and the codependent tends to abandon the self at the expense of others, and the narcissist is the taker, and the narcissist exaggerates self at the expense of others. So they're like polar opposites that are drawn to each other. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the traits of codependency. You may find that you can like identify with some of that, and if that's the case, there's help and support available. Codependency Anonymous is an organization that is a nonprofit organization that helps people recover from codependency. It is 12 steps, similar to Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and such. You have meetings and there are 12 steps that you work through that kind of help you recover from your codependent traits. So there are many different definitions of codependency out there that you will find. I think codependency, or the term codependence, was first originated during addiction treatment, when addiction to substances was first considered an illness, a disease. Codependency was also identified as contributing to the disease in a sense. And codependents were typically people who were in relationships with these addicts or alcoholics, and they were enabling their behaviors. They were trying to control them, trying to get them to stop drinking or stop using at the expense of their own mental health. And so the term codependence kind of started there, but it has since evolved. In fact, someone can be codependent and not even be in a relationship with an addict or an alcoholic or someone who has some type of illness. But the codependent still is drawn to the unhealthy, dysfunctional relationship. So I think, you'll find, if you look up codependency, you'll find so much information out there and so many different definitions. I've kind of taken what I know about codependency and created sort of my own definition. Not completely my own, because I kind of pulled from other definitions that I'm familiar with. So I just kind of sum it up in a way that I think really kind of hits the main points about codependency. So to me, codependency is basically a lack of self and self-worth, which is sought externally through interpersonal relationships. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. The lack of self being you don't know who you are, you don't have a strong sense of self. The codependent abandons the self at an early age during childhood, when they have discovered that their job is to please others and be who they need them to be. And so because this happens early, typically with a codependent in their family of origin, they never really get a chance to develop their own identity, who they really are, or if they do, they lose touch with that. And then they don't have a sense of self-worth. The codependent, again, they feel unworthy, they feel unlovable, so they have to seek worthiness and value and validation for the self on the outside, externally. They do that through these interpersonal relationships that are typically dysfunctional and unhealthy. I'm just going to quickly kind of go over traits of codependence that that I think is helpful for you to know. You may have some of these, you may have all of these, you may have none of these at all. They're mostly self-explanatory, so I'm just going to kind of go through them. So the codependent is typically very critical and judging of the self. Like I said, they tend to have very low self-esteem. They don't really like who they are, like much about themselves. They judge themselves very harshly. So they may accept mistakes of others, but they don't accept that with themselves. They hold themselves to a higher standard. Many codependents may even be perfectionists. They set these really high expectations for themselves, and if they don't meet them, they really judge themselves negatively for it. So the codependent is very, very highly critical of the self. The codependent also has trouble identifying their feelings. So they may be very passive and just go along with things, or they may be emotionally overreactive and acting out what they feel because they're unsure. They're not able to identify what they're feeling. And let's say they can identify what they're feeling, they'll avoid their feelings and their own needs, because typically the codependent has been taught at an early age, your feelings don't matter. My feelings matter, usually by the parents, okay? Their feelings have been invalidated as kids. And so in order to survive in a family like that, they have to repress what they feel. And after doing that for so long, you can't identify what you feel anymore. You don't know, okay? So the codependent has to relearn how to get in touch with their feelings. The codependent is also very people-pleasing. They're very compliant. They want people to like them. They have a difficult time saying no. Again, because they don't really feel good about themselves, and they don't have a sense of self-worth, they have to get that from others, which means they have to do things to make people happy, to make people like them. If people are happy with me, if people like me, then I feel okay with myself. I must be worthy. If going back to childhood, right? If I can get mom and dad's attention by doing nice things to them, being pleasant all the time, not crying, not showing any anger, avoiding all of my feelings, pretending that everything's okay at home when it's not, then I can make them happy and I can please them, and in turn they'll be happy with me and I can feel good about myself. The codependent also has a need to feel needed. So this is the reason the codependent is drawn to, well, there are many reasons the codependent is drawn to the dysfunctional relationship. One is because it's very familiar to them. The codependent comes from a very dysfunctional, chaotic, unhealthy home. So these relationships that mimic that feel familiar, it feels like home, that's what they're naturally drawn to. But also, they have a need to fix and rescue others so that they can feel needed, which in turn gives them a sense of self-worth. Remember what I said about the definition of codependency, and this is why I kind of put it together in that way. All of these characteristics and behaviors that I've discussed so far about the codependent, it's all an attempt to gain self-worth outside of the self, because I don't have it within me. I've never had it. I don't know how to get it. I've got to seek it from relationships and people, because that's where I'm supposed to get it from, from the beginning. We learn who we are from our parents during childhood. We gain our sense of self-worth from our parents, our primary caregivers, I should say, during childhood. If you never got that, you're on a lifelong search for that. So I'm naturally drawn to people like the family, like the caregivers, who I want to please. These are the people that I originally want to see me as lovable, see me as worthy, and I'm trying to get that unresolved need met through these other relationships. And so the adult relationship, especially the adult romantic relationship, ends up looking very similar to the relationship that you had as a child with the parent. The codependent also has very poor boundaries, okay? They allow people to hurt them. They allow people to, use them, take advantage of them. Again, remember, it's all tied together because they have a hard time saying no. They have a hard time, dealing with people not liking them. They want to people please. They want to fix. They want to rescue. They're trying to feel needed. They're trying to feel validated. They're trying to gain a sense of worthiness because they never had it. And so they allow people to continue to do things to mistreat them as long as those people are happy. The relationship that the codependent has tends to be very one-sided. Their needs are not met, but yet they're meeting the needs of others. They're not giving to themselves, but yet they're giving to others. And interestingly, like I said in the beginning, the codependent ends up with someone like a narcissist, or maybe someone with an addiction or another mental illness who cannot give them what it is they're lacking, who cannot give them the love and the sense of worthiness that they desire. So, it's almost like I'm trying to find love and worthiness outside of myself because I don't have it within me. And the people that I'm trying to get it from cannot give it to me. And so the codependent, because they don't have a sense of self-worth, they really truly deep down feel like they don't deserve the love and the worthiness that they are trying to seek. So they tend to be very self-sabotaging, okay? Because it'd be one thing if the codependent would actually seek out love from someone who is healthy emotionally and can actually give. Love can be healing. So let's say they were actually trying to seek out love in from someone who can give it, then that would kind of make sense. But the codependent seeks out love from those who cannot give it. They seek out validation from those who cannot give it because they don't think they deserve it. Going back to the poor self-esteem, the poor self-worth, and the lack of self. Okay, so just wanted to give you guys that information. Again, if you think that you may be codependent, you may have some of these traits, seek out some more information, get some help. Like I said, Codependence Anonymous is available. You can look it up online. They actually have online meetings. There are in-person meetings. I don't know if they're having any now because of everything that's going on, but there are definitely online meetings going on. And so you can actually work through that and recover. And first, develop a healthy relationship with yourself and learn to love yourself and learn to see yourself as worthy and lovable, and eventually learn to have a healthy relationship with someone else, okay? So that's all I have for you guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you like my content. Leave any comments down below or questions. Thanks for watching. Bye.